Good afternoon, everybody. This is the Trading Nomadic channel. Today, I'd like to touch down briefly on the 3commas crypto trading platform. Now, this is a platform that you can connect all the different exchanges that you use, whatever that may be, directly to their software. And it gives you a lot more flexibility with options when it comes to trading crypto. It gives you more options to protect your investments, to take profits. They offer trailing stops. They offer trailing take profit levels, which essentially a trailing take profit level is it'll execute at a given price level that you enter ahead of time, and from that point it will continue to follow the asset as it appreciates, as high as it goes to a certain extent. And when that asset starts to come back down, your predetermined take profit level, it that will follow the asset up. And then when the asset stops going up, it'll stay at that level until it's executed. Say you added a 5% trailing profit on a $100 target. After $100, that trailing profit will start. So if it goes from 100 to 110, well, your trailing profit is now going to move up to 105. It'll stay 5% underneath the highest level that the asset reaches. And then if the asset starts to fall backwards, it'll be under it about 5%, and it'll close your order, just in case you do hit a target and then the price, immediately skyrockets after that. You're able to take advantage of that while keeping a stop loss. And again, if it hit $100 and then fell, you would take profit at $95. It would stay 5% underneath. So, I usually leave a little bit of my position in a trade at the end, and I'll use the trailing take profit because it's crypto. Sometimes we'll hit these targets and it'll just go bananas afterwards, and you miss out. So I'll leave a small percentage, and that's one of the nice things about 3commas is you can do all this stuff automatically. I can set my take profit levels to, take 75% of my position off at a certain level, and then leave 25%, in case the asset does continue to appreciate. In general, 3commas makes crypto trading much, much easier than without it. I don't trade without it. As far as crypto goes, 3commas is my battle station. I have all my exchanges hooked up to it. And when it comes to the trade setups and the charts that I post in the Discord channel, which if you're not a part of, you should join. There's so many resources there. All my charts are there organized. Trade setups, education, news, podcast. I add music there, whatever it is. The whole community is based around the Discord. But my main reason for making this video, without going on a tangent here, is so that you can make my trade setups and my charts actionable trades, and you can do it quickly, and you can do it while protecting your investment and maximizing your potential gains, because a lot of the times, you'll hit these higher targets on these charts and you don't really have time to monitor it. Unless you're at your computer all day watching these trades as they execute, it's tough to call the top. It's tough to catch the top. Same thing with the bottom. And 3commas, that using that in combination with my trade setups and my charts, you can enter You can make one of these trade setups actionable with it takes about 15 seconds. You set your stop loss, you set all the different take profit levels. You can do the whole order in a matter of seconds. Set it, forget it. If the trade works, you'll get notified. If it doesn't, you'll get notified as well. Like I said, I won't trade without it. It is a game changer. I'm not pushing the product. I do have a referral code, but I've yet to see a dime from that. I'm doing this so that you can take advantage of our community, our trade setups, better than you can without it. I mean, this is a must, and I can't express it enough. But before I continue on all day about that, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to pull up a chart here. If you're in the Discord community, I will make videos to touch on how to set this up initially, how to, take advantage of the 3commas software to its full potential, and that includes the phone app, which is amazing. You can add to your position with ease. You can close positions with a touch of a button. You can actually panic sell everything in your portfolio with one button. If for some reason the market just took a wild move and you would just rather get out of your positions and, reassess everything afterwards, one button, and it could save you a lot of money because it gets you out of the game and allows you to make a technically based reposition. I think I said that right. It's just one more way to alleviate emotion. When you do have, the whole platform is perfect to automate everything using your brain instead of your emotion. And that's important in trading because that is how all traders lose. When you get emotional about a position, or when it's, you're flying by the minute trying to make a judgment call as you're being affected by drastic price movements, that's where you make mistakes and that's where you lose money every time. My particular trading style is based on broader, slower sometimes, but bigger moves. And I know when I want to get out. I know where I want to take my profit. I follow a strict set of rules with a strict set of variables, and I need all of them to align with my trade or I don't take it. And one of those is 3-to-1 equity in a trade. If I'm risking $10 on a trade, I want to make 30 if it plays out. And the reason I do this is because you could flip a coin on a trade and you're going to be right 50% of the time. The price goes two directions. It goes up or it goes down. You got a 50-50 shot. But if you add the variable using 3-to-1 reward to risk, that means you've only got to make one correct trade out of three. And then you're going to be profitable because you've already got a 50-50 chance of, making a good trade just because that's how it is. It goes up, it goes down. If you are right half the time and all your trades are 3-to-1, you're going to end up on top. And an important part of this, which this is another area that 3commas is extremely useful for, is position sizing. With 3commas, you can pick, down to the dollar, how much you want to risk, how much you want to put into a trade, how much you want to take at all your profit levels. And this makes it really easy for somebody to take consistent trade sizes, which is very important. This is another way that you can take emotion out of trading. If all your positions that you take are risking the same amount or a certain percentage of your portfolio, that means it doesn't matter which trade is successful. It doesn't matter which one wins. It doesn't matter which one loses, because you're risking the same. You're not adding more to this one. I mean, you can always add to a position if you're really confident in it, or if it starts moving in the right direction. But ideally, when you're taking, excuse me, when you're taking trades, you want them all to be the same position size. You don't want to risk too much of your portfolio, because that's when emotion comes into play. That's when you start to get nervous about stuff. If you're risking too much on a certain play, and it starts going the wrong way, that's when you're quick to, panic sell. And you don't want to do that. You always want to have a plan. You always want to have a set stop loss and a set take profit. And you want to have a reason for these levels, right? Because it makes sense. Not because you're worried, not because you're panicking, not because you're losing money. In the same respect, it goes for take profit levels. One of the biggest mistakes new traders make is cutting their winners short and letting their losers go too long. And it's an emotion driven response. And again, my particular style of trading, what I teach at Trading Nomadic, and the use of 3commas takes all of that out of the scenario, out of your trading style, and it's going to make, I'm not stressing this as much as I should, but this is what makes or breaks a successful trader and a long-term trader. So I hope this does help. If you guys have any questions, if you have any, concerns, whatever it is, go to the Discord, tag me, drop something in one of the chats, and we'll make a video to address it. Or somebody, whether it's myself or other community members, can help you on the Discord as well. But again, before I spend all day going on, I'm going to bring up my 3commas platform here. So this is your 3commas platform. I'm in the smart trade section. If you go on the left here, there's smart trade. Your dashboard is basically like your landing zone. When you open the software, it has your portfolio information, your exchange information, some statistics and stuff like that. There's the My Exchanges. This is where you would go to add your exchanges. They use the API from your exchange to work seamlessly with your exchange without ever having to log into your exchange or any of that stuff. But that's something I'm not going to address in this. There's plenty of videos to show you how to add your exchange out there if you want to know how to set up that part of 3commas. But again, I am in the smart trade section. And here we are looking at BTC to USD. But what I'm going to do is I've actually got, these are some of the trade setups from the Discord. They're all presented in a nice, easy to read chart with all the levels predefined. All you have to do, let's go to, this is Cake. This is one from the other day. You can see how I set these up on TradingView. I have a stop loss. This is the long position tool. It's on your TradingView on the side toolbar. This is the long position tool here. And if you look to the price, there's an orange number that correlates with the orange stop loss. And I had that set at 21.86. Then you've got your entry, which is in purple, and it's going to be lined up with where the orange section turns to purple, or whatever color scheme you have on your long tool. It's the same idea. Actually, I have to double check, I think. Okay, so actually my entry is in green on the side here. Not sure why. But all the same, the number for the entry is going to be on the price level over here, and the same thing with your take profit. Now, a lot of these trade setups, I do multiple take profits, and the same thing. They're all going to have the same entry, generally speaking, and the same stop loss, except they're going to have a higher take profit level. Let me squeeze this down so you can see. All right, same thing. If you look to the right, that corresponds with the take profit level, you've got a number here. So on all of these charts I post in the Discord, the trade setup charts specifically, you've got a play button here so you can see how this play went, and boom. Now if you look, Cake hit our take profit level and then sold off. If I did not use 3commas, I wouldn't have been able to capture that top. I would not have made this trade successfully. Granted, I do think this asset will continue to move up, but you know, it retraced from 42 all the way down to 37, and it happens fairly quickly a lot of the time with crypto, especially when you're looking at the higher price targets on some of these assets. So we're going to go back to 3commas, and if you look down here, I'm on the smart trade section. If I wanted to take a trade on Cake, you've got, this is your, oh, it's cut off, but right up above here, oh, you can see it. You've got your exchange drop down here. You've got your market. This is your trading pair. Say you wanted to trade BTC pairs, ETH pairs. For the most part, I stick to US dollar pairs, which is USDT. And then the asset you're trading is going to be over here on the right. Okay? So we're going to go to Cake. Now, 3commas does allow you to use a trading view chart right in their platform, and that includes, if you can see, there's, you know, this buy. You know, you could set your buy fairly easy. If you come down here, you've got your take profit levels, you've got your stop loss level, and then over on the left here is your entry. Your entry, you can either use a limit buy, which will let you choose exactly where you want to enter. But a limit buy, that is going to be an automatic order if, you know, somebody's willing to pay what you're willing. If you're willing to pay, you know what I mean. If you don't know what a limit order is, you should definitely know before you're doing any type of trading. Period. You've got your market order. You've got your conditional order. Now, your conditional order is good for if you want this asset to wait until a certain price level before this order executes. So if I'm waiting for a breakout on Cake, I would put, you know, this is just an example. I would put, say I was waiting for a breakout down here. Well, I would put, you know, my buy order right above that level so that if cake decided to break, which you can see it has right here, perhaps that would have been a better entry, but this is just an example. So if cake runs into my buy level, it will then execute my order and buy here. And the strategy behind that is, well, if cake never made it up to my buy order and ended up falling, further down on this chart, I would have never gotten into that trade, and therefore I wouldn't have been at risk for that, that action to the downside if that had happened. And that's useful. And sometimes I'll set my charts up like that. I'll have, my buy orders above a resistance point, so that if the asset never breaks out, it's never going to take the trade in the first place. But with all of our trades, we always use a stop loss. Now, if you want to do it visually, you can use these. I used to use these in here, but you know what? The way I set up my charts, you've got all the numbers. You can just type them in here. Fairly easy, and this is the way I would recommend doing it. Because sometimes if you misplace some of your take profits or your stop losses and stuff like that, it makes a difference in the end. So with cake, let's just say we were going to market order. All you do, you click market order, you come down to the total, and say I wanted to put in a $100 trade on cake. I type in $100, or you can select a percentage of your portfolio. I think what was, if my U.S. dollar account wasn't drained on this exchange, I would probably up this a little bit, but just nice round number here, $100, right? And it makes it easy, and that's important when you're trading. Using nice round numbers like that, it really does make a difference. But as a rule of thumb, on any trade, you never want to risk more than 1% of your portfolio. So say you had $1,000 as a portfolio, that's all you've got. Well, generally speaking, using a nice round number like $1,000, what I would do is, let's risk 10%, and 10% of, and I didn't word that correctly, but I'm going to use 10%, which would be $100 if it was a $1,000 portfolio. And then my stop loss, if I'm using 10% of my portfolio to make this trade, I would want my stop loss at most. The most I want to lose on this trade is 10%, because that would bring me to the 1% number. But again, there's different ways to size up your position, because if you're reading my charts or if you're taking trade setups from the group, you want your stop loss to be where my stop loss is. And if we go to cake, we look for the orange stop loss number, which is 2186. All you do, you type in 2186. Now, this trade has already been executed, so obviously I wouldn't risk 47%, but I'm just to show you how you'd enter a trade off one of my trade setups. This is how you do it. Type in how much you want to use for the trade, enter your stop loss, which is on the chart. Then you come to your take profit zones. I like to use a market order on take profit zones. And sometimes you might not capture every penny of that, because if the market's moving up and down and you use a market order, you could be filled higher, you could be filled lower. But using a market order, it will send out my order when we reach a certain price, and with a market order, I know I'm going to get filled. Sometimes if the market's moving really fast and you put out a limit order, your order might not be filled and you won't be able to take advantage of that take profit level. So I go with market order. And then the first thing you want to do is you want to enter your take profit level. So if we go back to cake, my take profit level was 42.79. So I type in 42.79 and then it'll automatically tell you how much money you, or how much a percent you're going to gain at that take profit level. Obviously 2% isn't really a trade I would be looking for, but if you want to enter in more than one take profit level, you click split targets, and now it'll give you an option how much percentage of this position as a whole do you want to close at that take profit level. So if I was risking $100 and I wanted to take 75% of that off the table at my take profit level, I would move the bottom to 75% and I would click add take profit. Now I've got 25% of my position left. Sometimes a smaller portion of my position, but I will add a trailing take profit for the last target. Or you could just add, say I want to take the last 25% at $45. All you would do is click add target, and that would give you a 100% take profit level. So if it hits these levels, your trade will close. You'll have your, anything you've gained from this trade ready to go in your portfolio immediately. And it does, 3commas actually sends you out a notification, whether it's via text message. You can have the app send you, just a kind of like a ping, just notifying you, hey, you have a successful trade, your profits are taken. Or if you get stopped out, it'll also tell you, hey, your position's been closed, you've been stopped out. That would give you an opportunity if you want to go take a look at the chart, see what happened, or maybe position a lower buy-in using a conditional order, which is, I'll get to that part in a second here. But back to the take profit zone, if you wanted to say, hey, I want to just let that last 25% roll with it, you come down here and go to trailing take profit, turn that on, and now the default's 5%. And what this will do is, if cake continued to just go up and up and up and up, as long as cake doesn't drop 5% off of its highest point, it'll keep you in that trade. It could go up another 100% as long as it does not drop 5% at any given time off of its high. It'll stay open, and sometimes this ends up working really nicely, sometimes it doesn't. But either way, if your second take profit target, our first one was at 2%. Say my second take profit was at 10%, and I used the trailing stop. If we reached 10% and then it just fell immediately, it would still stop me out with +5 because of this deviation. And I like to leave this loose. Usually my last target is much higher than the rest of the targets, so that 5% at that point, for the potential gain, I think it's well worth it. But anyway, after you do that, you just create trade. And what that'll do is it'll add, oh, the screen's kind of cut off a little bit. Let me see what I can do. All right, so it cut off, but this is an ETH BTC pair where I'm waving my mouse. And you can see it creates this little dialogue down here that shows you where your stop loss is at. It shows you where you entered. It shows you where your take profit levels are. And this is a very useful thing because you could see it right on your phone too. It has a fairly nice platform for the phone as well. I think the Android one's better. I've heard somebody say that the iPhone one doesn't have as many options, but the Android one is great. And some of the options you do get is this little button here gives you an option if you want to add funds. Say this trade's going really well, and I'm confident that it's going to continue doing well. I can add, either an exact amount of, in this case it's BTC, but if it was dollars, if I wanted to add $10 to a trade, I could just add $10 and type it right there. But because it's paired against BTC, I'm not adding 10 BTC to this trade. But you can also do a percentage, You could choose a percentage of, if it was US dollar, it would take 10% of what you have left available in US dollars and add it to this trade. The only issue I do want to talk about, if you're adding to a trade when it's already off of the entry, you're putting yourself at risk a little bit further. Because say before it hit the take profit level, you added right in the middle of the trade extra capital to the trade, and then it reversed and you got stopped out. Well, not only are you going to lose what you originally risked when you set up your stop loss, but now you're going to lose that extra money you added in the middle of the trade from that point that you entered all the way down to your stop loss, which I don't recommend. But if you do, I like adding to a position if it comes towards the stop loss a little bit and I think it's going to be a good trade still, then I'll slowly add small increments to my position to kind of average it. So if this trade, if I entered early and it does, come down a little bit further before moving upward, I can kind of average my position, and then when it does turn around, I'll be in a much better place and I'll make more off of the trade, and ultimately I'll be closer to my stop loss. So anything I do add to this position, if it is near my stop loss, I'm only going to lose a very small portion of what I add, right? Because I'm even, if I was risking a 10% on my stop loss and I'm 8% down on this trade so far, now I'm only risking 2% on anything I add. So that's a nice way of tracking your trades with 3commas, but also adding to trades to dollar cost average down. You also have this feature to close at market price. Say this trade starts going bad and you just don't want to wait till it gets to your stop loss, which again, a lot of the times trading like that, if I close this early, I'm using emotion for the most part. And then unless you got yourself under control and you're doing it for a different reason, maybe something changed technically on the asset and logically it wouldn't make sense to stay in the trade. That's another thing I really don't recommend. When I place trades, I place them for a reason, and I place them with a stop loss and a take profit, and I set it up and I forget about it. I don't mess with it. Generally, it works best this way because you took the trade for a reason. If you weren't confident in that reason, you shouldn't have taken the trade. So let it play its course, because sometimes people close a position, it might come right down to your stop loss and then go 30% up. And with a market, it's a psychology thing. Assets move like that sometimes to shake people up, to hit people with stop losses, or to shake people up and It rattles the market, and then people get out of trades, and then the trade ends up being successful. So that's something to think about. But again, on your main screen of 3commas and on the phone app, you also have a button. I'm not going to go over that today, and it's not really something I'm going to promote using. But if the market ever, made a drastic move to the downside, there is, like I said, a button that will allow you to sell your complete portfolio to fiat or to Bitcoin, whatever your pair is. All with one button. It'll turn all your trades off, it'll close all your positions, it'll secure all of your capital quickly. And so, sometimes you might have a reason to do that. If there's a flash crash and you want to get the emotion out of it and reassess, that's a quick way to protect your positions, right? There are also other options when it comes to trailing buys and smart selling, and there's a lot of really good stuff in here, but this is what I wanted to discuss. This is the command. If you're taking an actionable trade setup from our Discord or from my Twitter at Trade Nomadic, this is how you do it. Simple. You can do it on your phone. You can do it on your computer. It takes 2 seconds. You type in how much you want to put into the trade. You type in the stop loss, which the number is right on the side of the chart on all of my trade setups. And sometimes I type it out. But you type that number in here. You type in your take profit levels, just like I showed you. If you only have one, it's simple. You type it in, you hit create trade, and you're done. I do want to go over, there is a feature here too, as far as a trailing stop loss. Say that, you enter a trade and you basically, just real quick, you want to get into that trade, but you want a trailing stop loss. It's the same thing. The way the trailing take profits work, it will follow your entry point. Say the trailing stop loss I put on is that 10% number. It will stay 10% behind the price of the asset until the asset stops making new highs, right? So if the asset went up to 100, the trailing stop loss will be at 90. If the asset went up to 200, well, 10% of that is 20. So the trailing stop loss would go all the way up to 180, 10% behind 200. And then if the asset fell from 200, it'll stop you out at 180. Unless that asset went higher than 200, and then it would move up with it. Very helpful, very useful. And you also have the stop loss timeout, which is amazing. If you've ever seen volatile moves where it wicks right down to your stop loss, takes you out of the trade, and then ends up going much higher, the stop loss timeout helps you avoid getting stopped out. And what this does is it will, for however many seconds you want, say, depending on the trade, if you make it really long, it could end up hurting you in the end, because if you have it on there for 300, I think is the default. If that asset just kept falling for 300 seconds and it was falling drastically, that could put you in a lot of trouble. But usually 30 seconds or 60 seconds will give you a little bit more security in getting stopped out by scam wicks. And what this does is, say you have a stop loss at $100 and the price of this asset falls quickly, hits 100, and then bounces off it because because you have this stop loss timeout on, what it would do is it would, once it hits your stop loss, it'll wait 60 seconds. And if that asset is still at your stop loss or below it in 60 seconds, it'll sell your position. If it is not, if it ends up hitting your stop loss, the timeout is triggered and it goes back up within 60 seconds. It won't stop you out of your position. You will still be in the trade, and it has saved me personally a bunch of times. I haven't really been hit too much from the downside with that stop loss. Because a lot of the times when you get volatile moves to the downside, you always kind of get that, that dead cat bounce. You'll come down hard and then you'll bounce back from it. And usually by then, if your stop loss gets hit at that point, you're still around the same area most of the time. I'm not gonna don't hold me to that, because you could really lose a lot of money if an asset was just free falling for 300 seconds and then you get stopped out all the way at the bottom, wherever it ends up reaching. But for the most part, I mean, that's all you need to know about 3commas to make actionable trades from our trade setups, or to make your own trades. This gives you a really safe and profitable way of taking trades. And 3commas is free for 2 weeks, but they will charge you, I believe, the starter subscription is $20. It's worth it. I can't say it enough. I don't trade without it. Honestly, I don't. I have a long-term portfolio that's not hooked up to these exchanges that I don't touch, but I don't trade. And if I did, I would have it connected to 3commas. 100% recommended. I wouldn't trade without it. If you want to take trade setups in our Discord community, this is the way to do it. You've got all the information you need to set up your order right on the charts. If that doesn't sell you, I don't know what will. But if you do sign up for 3commas, use my referral code. I've never made a dime from a referral on 3commas, but if you're going to do it anyway, use my referral. Why not? But that is it for this video. If you do have any questions, concerns, if something's confusing, or if you just want help setting up your 3commas, it's fairly easy to do. But for somebody who's not familiar with how all of this stuff works, it can be a little bit overwhelming. But in our community, there are myself or anyone else in the community, I'm sure would be happy to help you, to help walk you through 3commas. And I will make other videos and put them in the Discord that kind of go over some of the other parts of 3commas and some of this stuff a little bit more in depth. This is just a basic video to help you understand how to incorporate the two together, and you should immediately. Thank you for watching. I appreciate all you guys. Like, subscribe, bring some of your, recommend some friends to come in the Discord. Anyone who's serious about trading, this is going to be a resource and a community to help you be the best trader you can be, to help you learn from my mistakes, from my knowledge as a trader, psychology stuff. I mean, there's a lot of value there, and I really hope we can grow this community in time, and you share it with your friends, anyone who might be interested. And if they just want to come and have trade discussions, well, that's fine too. But again, thank you, like, subscribe, and I appreciate you guys.